Hi, my name is Shawn Shaler. That's my friend Jesse Lobbs, who I always say that and then I don't remember if I'm supposed to say your name out loud on camera. That's my friend Jesse Lobbs. It's too late now. It's out there in the universe and the Digiverse and all the other verses. And we are
All of them.
all of the verses. You know, in the multiverse, theoretically, there's one out there where I didn't say your name. And so that's the one that I want to focus on. Good job, me. And today, we're so happy that you joined us for another episode of Pokemalarkey. Today, we will be talking about episode 22. I think 21 here, but 22 overall because of the whole James Boobs thing.
Yep.
And this one is called Abra and the Psychic Showdown. And I am so psyched, pun intended, to talk about these episodes because it's Spooktober and it lined up so perfectly, Jesse.
Yes. I am very excited to spend some time with lots of spooky ghosties and a lot of just malevolent energy.
I know there's some messed up stuff happening in these. But before I just lose it, absolutely, Jesse, I would love to know how you're doing and what you've been up to lately.
I am great. I am, having the time of my life. Mostly in terms of like culture. What am I doing? I've been, Shawn, as I told you, I think I've been rewatching Death Note since we're in October.
That feels right.
It feels very dark, malevolent. I just got to probably the biggest moment of the whole Light L battle of intelligence and wills. Won't spoil it for you nice folks if you haven't seen it. Because
I'm one of them.
Should have seen it.
No, it's going to make me feel feelings.
Now.
It's going to make me feel feelings. I'm not going to do it.
But it's so good and it holds up so well. It holds up a lot better than I expected, honestly. So yeah, I'm having a blast watching that, and just trying to keep up with everything else, which is not going great because I'm choosing to rewatch Death Note. But you know what? It was a good choice. It's a good choice.
It's very timely. I've watched 2 episodes of Death Note, so I know enough to know that it's a timely choice. Well done.
What about you? What's going on in your life?
I was going to start telling you before I even gave you a chance to ask. That's on me. I'm so faithless. I'm so sorry. I just watched the last episode of season 2 of Ted Lasso, which is, I'm going to choose my words very carefully, I think the most charming show I've seen in a very long time. Very long time.
People say that.
It's very charming and endearing. That might be another. That ballpark of fluffy words. And there's one part where one guy on there in this last episode, and he's a tough guy. His name is Roy, if you know anything about it. And he makes a comment about something hurting his feeling, singular. And I laughed so hard because that's a thing that I do to people sometimes, is I'll tell people, that really hurts my feeling, and you're like all one of them. And he did that. And I laughed so hard because me and that character are nothing alike. His one feeling is anger. My one feeling is generally pleasant. So, no, season 2 of Ted Lasso. Loved both seasons. This season's a smidge more emotional, but maybe not quite as funny. First one's maybe less impactful, but funnier. Both good. I do love it. And also, though, more than usual, and this is my segue, I've been diving into the world of Pokemon because I love these next 3 episodes so much. So that's the other facet of what I'm doing and why I'm doing well. And that being my segue, Jesse, my friend, would you care to walk us through Abra and the Psychic Showdown?
I sure would. Okay. Abra and the Psychic Showdown, as Shawn said, episode 22 across the world, 21 here in America. Summary. Well, our folks are lost again on their way to Saffron City. As they are going through the woods, they encounter a creepy ass doll that is playing with a ball. And, they're lost in the woods. They're trying to find their way out. So Ash is like, hey, little girl, come back, please. And he starts chasing after her, comes to a cliff, nearly plummets to his death, but has the quick mind, surprisingly, to call on Bulbasaur, use Vine Whip to lash him out of there. But as they're there on the edge of that cliff, they discover, hey, Saffron City's just down the valley there. Our heroes come down to the valley and they get greeted by an amazing tourist trap, a great scheme where these beautiful hula dancers are welcoming the millionth person to come to Saffron City. And of course, the team's excited about that. They love that they're tourists, all these cities. No one's given them this kind of welcome before. Surprise, surprise! It is our lovely, faithful friends, Team Rocket, who are trying to steal Pikachu, and they actually almost do it.
And this is James's hottest outfit by far.
This is James' hottest. Yes, James. I'm ready to talk about this. They throw the team onto a warp tile. They get shifted somewhere else, but fortunately, Sabrina has other plans because that doll shows up, paralyzes Jesse and James, and returns Pikachu to the trio.
They have a warp tile, Jesse, and they're talking about using nets and crap, and they have them. Just warp them back to the...
I wish.
I don't know what a warp tile may be. I don't understand the physics or the long distance nature. Okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Sabrina rescues them because she wants to have a Pokemon battle, I believe. And Ash is intent. He knows where the gym is. He heads there immediately, and he's ready to fight Sabrina. They see that this is also like a psychic telekinetic training ground. They find Sabrina, and Sabrina's ready. She throws out Abra. Oh my God, Abra. And Ash, of course, sends out Pikachu. It's a pretty quick battle because Abra teleports everywhere and then evolves. Not great for Pikachu because Pikachu was barely doing anything against the Abra. And then evolving to Kadabra means Pikachu doesn't stand a chance. So Ash watches the Pikachu is thrown back and forth, forced to dance, all kinds of humiliating things by Kadabra. And Ash decides to forfeit. Because he forfeits, they had to maintain their end of the deal with Sabrina, with the creepy doll, which was, if you lose, you have to stay and play with me. So through some magic, psychic, telekinetic bullshit powers, she shrinks the group down and puts them in this dollhouse with all these other dolls that apparently are real people. So that's terrifying. And as they're there, they nearly get squished by a giant ball when the doll comes to play. But a mysterious man who has some connection with Sabrina's past shows up, rescues them out of there with his own telekinetic abilities, teleports them out of there, and then tells Ash he needs to leave. But Ash, being the stubborn fool and earnest young man he is, insists he's going to. So he stands up to the psychic man, and the psychic man is charmed enough to say, well, you know what? If you're going to go against Sabrina, you at least have to go get a ghost Pokemon. Psychic Pokemon's only weakness, and you can do that if you go to Lavender Town. So our heroes set off to Lavender Town to find a ghost Pokemon, while Meowth pulls Jesse and James, still paralyzed, off to Lavender Town in pursuit. And that's the episode. These episodes are packed with the ones of Sabrina. So I tried my best to fit that into a neat segment, but geez, there's a lot going on, Shawn.
No, you did just a spiffy job. Would you care to ask your various questions about this marvelous episode first? Or can I?
I only want to say one thing. In a rare turn of events, Ash uses his brain. I'm really impressed that Ash falling off a cliff had the presence of mind to save his life. Because historically, Ash should have plummeted to his death because he's not very smart.
And he would have deserved it.
I guess adrenaline kicked in. I was impressed. That's it.
No, that's great. He's using his Pokemon as tools, like the asshole that he is. No, I was impressed. I was also impressed with how cool he's playing it. Like, he just saves his own life, and he's just kind of hanging there like, oh, that's Saffron City over there. And I was very impressed with this. Cool. Couple notes, some important things. When the guy, I made a TikTok about it today because I laughed so hard when they meet him and he's bending the spoon and he like focuses on it really hard and his face is like turning red. He's like, and then the spoon just goes, and it makes a hilarious sound effect that if you have a dirty mind or whatever, and you can do with that scene whatever you like. I laughed so hard, and I made a TikTok about it, and I'm very proud. Okay, messed up telekinesis powers. Sabrina's like a Sith. Like, first of all, she's just choking this guy or
That's
whatever.
fucking witchcraft. It's not
That's
psychic.
not
Like, it's
telekinesis.
more than
That's straight up
psychic.
witchcraft. She shrinks them. The teleportation, that's not telekinesis. It's a different It's a different word. I cannot believe I did not stop everything at least once to say, that's telekinesis, Kyle! Where's everybody else that's lost to her? Is her dad just chronically rescuing these losers? Or if they've beaten her, why is her dad so pessimistic that she can't be beaten? There's some missing addition.
Shawn, who
going on here.
says that's her dad? We don't know yet. It could just be
a
family photographer.
I just ruined it and I forgot. I'm really sorry. I ruined it. And yeah, so that.
Hey, Shawn, everyone who's seen this except Ash Ketchum immediately knows it's another deadbeat dad, because Pokemon is the story of dads who went out to buy Pokeballs and never came back. That is the true essence of Pokemon.
And if you can explain to us why that's such a prevalent part of Pokemon, we would like to know. Just out of curiosity.
Happily. Let's just run through our 3 major ones we've seen so far. Ash's dad, where is he? Absent. Brock's dad just leaves and hangs out, and
close enough to town to be
close enough to watch
worthless?
And run some stupid fucking rock
He's
shop.
selling rocks outside of town. Wouldn't you be happier in the house with the kids?
And you can all go back to that episode and listen to Shawn and me talk about that deadbeat dad. And now Sabrina's dad is just like jogging around the city, showing up at mysterious times, being like, "You don't want to go in there. Don't fight her. Get out of here while you still can."
And then they try to do like the Batman disappear thing, except for he is just jogging away, like the mysterious disappearing, just leaving. So many questions. Also, like, it's not like we see Misty's parents or any. Have we even seen a dad yet, Jesse? Have we seen a dad? Sorry, an active, non-deadbeat dad. Have we seen a happy, full family?
I'm trying.
I got nothing. I bet AJ didn't have a dad. That's probably why he's got some problems.
Wow. Yeah. Now I'm gonna obsess about this for a while.
Let's go dig into some family genealogy. So lots of questions about this. This episode raises more questions than answers, but it does have some brief moments of Ash intelligence and comedy that's probably unintentional. And listen, Jesse and James's outfits. James specifically, I'm digging his dress. It's
why in this episode, out of all of them, do Jesse and James not like normally?
They don't even
we all
resemble
know
themselves.
Yeah, normally we all know. It's like a clever like wink wink, because it's Jesse and James because you can kind of tell by their outlines or their shape. This one, they're like 2 young, buxom, attractive young women, and like the only way you can tell is by the voice. If you're not listening to the voice, you never know.
But the issue is that multiple voice actors and actresses in these shows play multiple people, right? So there's at least a brief second where you think to yourself, is that supposed to be a different person?
I wondered that too, because I thought maybe young me, as young Jesse, would have picked up on that and thought, oh, that's Jesse and James. But this time watching it as an older adult, I thought, oh, are they reusing both of the voice actors for both Jesse and James? That's weird.
At least for a brief, like a 5-second.
Yep.
But they're both
just enough to doubt it.
It is, but their outfits this time are just extremely elegant, which is like normally they're campy and stupid. No, these are lovely, which is good because the rest of their scheme is like totally just sort of janky and zany, forgettable. Like, not funny or charming. Like, it's just a dumb scheme. So it's good that they look.
Actually, they almost won. I mean, they almost got away with it.
They did, but it feels like, I don't know, that like
this is one of those times where, like, if it hadn't been for Sabrina's intervention, they would have just walked out of there.
And maybe the fact that it almost worked, but that it's so kind of vanilla, and it just came down to having a really cool piece of technology that they clearly are not using to its full advantage. And it happened so quick.
Well, so I feel like these 3 episodes are a really good intersection of like very major differences between the shows and the video games, right? Because in the games, you have Silph Co., which is also in Saffron City, and that's the place that also has all the warp tiles. And Sabrina's gym has warp tiles, and that's part of the puzzle to get to different floors or to get to a spot where you can actually fight Sabrina. So Saffron City is apparently just littered with them.
This very high-end tech.
So I guess Team Rocket
in this place where people can already teleport. So do they really need warp tiles?
That's a good question. Well, apparently not everyone can teleport.
And we should spend a little time next episode talking a smidge about the video game, just the fun Lavender Town, that whole thing that we were all super invested in. So, but for now, let's wrap up with maybe some final episode thoughts and remind ourselves just how garbage Ash is.
I think against any other gym leader, Pikachu would be fine, but it's just absolutely foolish to take your electric mouse up against a psychic monster that is Kadabra, which is a Pokemon
mustachioed psychic monster.
You're like, who are you? Because at least with most Pokemon, you can kind of tell like their animal inspiration. I don't know what a Kadabra is supposed to be.
He's like an insect fox with a mustache.
Yeah, it's scary. I don't like it.
I don't either. But he is in my top 5 favorite Pokemon all time.
Powerful. It's a powerful Pokemon.
Big fan. And so, that's something else I'll touch on next episode as well. I won't spoil it now. I'm going to go ahead and you've inspired me. You've inspired me to change Jesse. I'm going to give Ash does not do anything inherently horribly stupid in this episode. He just does not succeed or do anything particularly great. I'm going to give him a B. Right. A flat B.
I give Ash a B+ this episode.
Oh, you're on the plus minus. I'm really lazy, so I can agree with a B+, but I'm just going to mark it as a B out of sheer laziness.
Yeah. I think certainly not A material, which we have not gotten.
Not at all.
But I think this is as
harmless as he's been,
as benevolently neutral as I can feel toward Ash.
Totally fair.
It's the best I can do.
Ash, today you get like a dum-dum. You don't get to pick from the good candy jar, but you get like the cheap dum-dums or whatever. You did okay. And you didn't give away any of your Pokemon.
Just okay.
That's huge.
Yep.
Jesse, may I transition into our Pokédjacent topic of the day?
Please.
It is Spooktober, and so in our Pokédjacent topic, which is not persuasive at all, and it's just barely informative, mostly it's just a nice homage to something that we kind of like as an excuse to talk about that thing. And for today's topic, I've chosen a YouTube channel called Dead Meat. And Dead Meat is a YouTube channel hosted by a fellow named James A. Janisse, and it's produced by him and his wife and some of his friends. And their main thing is called a kill count, where they watch horror movies. And I'm going to say it's mostly comedy more than anything, but he's also very insightful, and he's a gifted voice actor and actor himself. But they do these kill counts where they count the number of kills.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies.
In everything from like schlocky, campy 80s horror movies to takes themselves way too serious, like 20-aughts horror movies. And he just like one a week for the most part, and he does these kill counts. I'm not particularly interested in horror as a genre. I'd say very casual or lukewarm at best. But his production values are so good. He is so interesting. The channel is so well put together. I keep saying he because it's mostly him, but he's got a great team, obviously, as well. And it's very entertaining. Even despite my lack of interest in the horror genre in general, I'm tied to it every week. It's great. It's Dead Meat by James A. Janisse. He has been around for more than 4 years, probably closer to 5 years than 4 years. And he's covered kind of most of the major franchises you can think of. So if you're lightly interested, they're very kind of goofy, charming, entertaining. But then if you're actually interested in the horror genre as a whole, they also do a weekly podcast, which I do not listen to because they delve sort of very deep into it. They have on like guests from the genre, and they get kind of more into sort of technical and writing and things. And It's for the more hardcore fans. So I certainly don't delve that far into it. But Jesse, I'm going to go as far as to say this is my favorite YouTube channel.
Wow.
Dead Meat. No real interest in horror, but I love Dead Meat, and I love Dead Meat James A. Janisse, and his whole crew. They're fantastic. Can I press you? Did you have any chance to watch a smidgen of it at all?
Just a bit. Do they ever get into like any television kill counts or is it pretty exclusively movies?
He tried Stranger Things once, and it took him way longer, and he tried the mini series of It, but he says he doesn't care to do those quite as much because it takes him way longer. People are currently bugging him to do Squid Game, which
yeah, fair.
Again, personally, totally indifferent. I don't like to feel feelings. If I had to pick, I do like I do kind of like the schlocky sort of 80s horror, the classic Halloween's, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street.
I can manage 80s horror, but anything beyond that, I'm scared shitless.
Yeah, I don't want to do real horror. He did cover Jaws and Jurassic Park and some kind of not really horror genre sometimes, and those were sort of fun. But
I could do that.
He doesn't. Did you have a TV series you had in mind? I'm just curious.
Well, when I think of kill counts, the thing that immediately comes to mind is the thing that they used to do with Chris Hardwick after each episode of The Walking Dead. They'd do like a kill count of how many people or walkers were killed in it, and it just immediately came to mind, which is why I questioned it.
Some of them are really inane. Certain horror movies aren't really about the blood and gore, so it'll just be like 3 deaths. But then there'll be others like the movie Carrie, where she like sort of sets the whole gym on fire or whatever. Yep. And he really does try his best to like freeze frame and count everybody on screen and make sure he's not double counting. And again, I'm so sorry to his whole crew. I keep saying him. I know it's a very combined effort. Please forgive me. But I want to promote. It's a big channel. He doesn't really need my help, but I want to promote it because if you have any interest in this kind of stuff or just doing Spooktober, it's a big month for him, obviously. If you have any interest in anything I've described, you should go check them out because they are just a very classy, high quality for being, 4 or 5 people.
It's a good channel. It looks like great great production value.
They do, and it's so wildly entertaining. I would say it's mostly comedy, a little informative, and then obviously horror themed in general. And it's fantastic. So do me a favor, if that sounds interesting to you at all, at least go check it out. It's fantastic. I said, not that he needs my help. It's not like I'm plugging some dark horse tiny channel. He's already very successful and big.
I can add, just as a small aside here, if you do like horror, one thing I took a gender and horror film class in undergrad, and it was a absolutely terrifying experience because I had to take it and I did not want to take it because I don't do scary things. But if you are one of those people, a textbook I got from that class was super cool, called Men, Women, and Chainsaws. And I just add this in here as a gentle kind of like plug because it's a good book about horror. Men, Women, and Chainsaws.
Gender and ethnicity in horror does evoke, because there are so many victims.
Final Girl.
And Final Girl. And because also, there are stereotypes about being the black person or the Asian in the horror movies.
You're going to die first.
That's the origins of all those.
Happens so
and
often,
there's so frequently a sample size of humans that are mostly going to die. And there's not always a whole lot of diversity to them. It's usually a handful, right? And so it just introduces some unique, study-worthy dynamics.
Yeah, it's fascinating. That book is by a scholar named Carol Clover. For anyone who likes horror, I do not, so I don't know.
As I mentioned, campy is about as far as I go. That's our Pokédjacent topic. Dead Meat. It's a channel on YouTube, and you can follow him on. It's like at Dead Meat James on social media. Jesse, final thoughts on this episode for us, this episode of our show, or Dead Meat or whatever.
I think that we are about to walk into a terrifying corner of Pokemon because, as we know, the Pokemon in Kanto that we were introduced to that are psychic and ghosts are somewhat tame considered to the things they gave us later. But it's cute. It's cute. These kind of Pokemon that are like rewatching it, I thought to myself then, oh my God, this is a terrifying Pokemon. And now I'm like, please Please. So it's just fun to think about how far Pokemon has gone since we've just, had Abra and Kadabra. I mean, their names. like it's just
The ideas had to get a little more insane the farther and farther we've gone.
It's fun. I'm glad that Pokemon, with every iteration, gets increasingly sillier and also more creative. So bring it on. It's a lot of fun.
It is, and I'm excited to delve farther into these specific niches of early gen Pokemon with you over the next 2 episodes as well. We hope that you will join us for those. In the meantime, my name is Shawn. That's my friend Jesse Lobbs, whose name I don't know if I'm supposed to say on camera. This has been Pokemalarkey, episode 22 of the show Abra and the Psychic Showdown, with our Pokédjacent topic being Dead Meat channel on YouTube. Thank you so much. We'll put contact stuff down in the description, and as always, we would love to hear from you. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.